What highly illegal thing took place at your high school? Some girl brought cupcakes made with cum, called them cum cakes, proceeded to ask everyone in class if they wanted one. High school coach didn't keep tabs on our team during a week-long beach trip to play games in Florida. Parents supplied kids with alcohol. One of my teammates snaps his neck diving into the ocean. Coach fired, kid paralyzed. Literal chaos within our baseball program ensued. It was awful. I transferred. Not sure if illegal, but a girl smeared her own poop all over the bathroom walls and mirrors. Could this count as vandalism? Spanish teacher got arrested for illegally bringing over a 14-year-old Argentinian girl and keeping her as a hanky-panky toy. But since she was here illegally and wouldn't testify against him, she was deported and he came back to school later in the year. Come to find out, a couple of years later, he had molested like half of the girls' volleyball team he was the coach of. My senior year, one of my friends was murdered by her boyfriend, and he drove around with her body in the trunk for a couple of hours. Also, a couple of kids got caught giving each other piercings in the stairwell. There were 4 freshmen in the bathroom stall just vaping, and a teacher came in, so they freaked out and didn't want to get in trouble, so they thought calling the cops on the teacher for harassment would get them out of trouble. They got expelled an hour after the cops arrived. We had a science teacher say, "If you don't put goggles on, I'm going to have to spray you in the eyes with Lysol," which was probably not illegal until the student tried to call her bluff. She wasn't bluffing. This was middle school, but our computer teacher was fired after they caught him watching porn in the computer lab during lunch. Rumor has it he was watching on the big projector screen they use for teaching. The cool gang of kids, not me, I've never been anywhere near cool, got into a dare contest, which ended up with one of them having to get a pair of knickers from a particular girl. She didn't want to play the game, so he ended up cornering her in a boy's toilet and cutting them off her with a knife. We never saw him at that school again. All games were banned. A teacher was caught having hanky-panky with an autistic student. I believe the student claimed to have loved her. Her dad was also a teacher at the same school, and he left after the incident came out. Edit, teacher was female, student was male. Little bit of backstory first. Our school had a big renovation ongoing, and because of that, almost half of the school was closed down. The closed part included the biggest bathrooms, and because of that, the school administrator ordered 2 toilet barracks to be placed on the schoolyard. So, some 7th to 9th graders decided to buy some toilet pipe opener liquid, I don't know what is the correct term, and aluminum foil. They put the aluminum foil inside some plastic bottles and poured a little pipe opener in them with the foil. As someone has probably done this before, knows what is going to happen next. They stuck 6 bottles total inside the toilet bowls in every stall and 1 barrack and blew them up due to the chemical reaction between the foil and the opener. All the pipings of the single barrack were destroyed due to water pressure inside the pipes. Turns out that the 2 barracks had connected piping, and the water that was in the bowls in the other barracks shot up to the ceiling due to pressure. The students never got caught, and if I remember correctly, the incident ended up costing a hefty amount for the school administration. The barracks were taken away and were replaced with new ones. After the incident, every recess there was a teacher in front on the barracks monitoring everyone going in and out. Nothing happened to the new toilets. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day. Pre-internet days, kinda, CDs were a thing. I had a massive CD collection and a giant book in my locker. I typed up lists of all the artists and albums I owned, so I had these flyers everywhere, and for $3 a CD, I'd burn you a copy. This was right when CD burners came out, and my stepdad was super into the latest and greatest tech, so we had the coolest gadgets when they came out. I eventually was caught, but for a time, I made killer money. A special ed kid got jumped by a dude on his way to school and was beaten bloody. The whole thing was recorded by the guy's girlfriend and her friend. The whole time they were cheering him on, yelling things like, "World Star," and so on. She later posted it on Instagram, which peed off everyone, and just about everyone wanted to beat the dude up in the vid. He was given temporary suspension, frickin' BS, while the police took care of him. From what I know, he was given an assault charge. Also, side note, there was a girl at my school who was in minor league boxing who was ready to beat him up. She even tried looking for him by his house. Edit. For those of you arguing if the boxer would have won the fight, can confirm she was a hell of a lot bigger than the guy. In comparison, he was a pretty skinny dude. Our football coach took off with one of the girls in the high school and moved to Mexico and married her. He had a wife and kids. They then hired a brand new football coach who was 23 years old. Before the end of his first year, he was hooking up with an 18-year-old senior girl. They also took off and went somewhere. We went without a coach for a couple years. My teacher was molesting my 14-year-old classmate for a while. He went to jail and is still there 20 years later because another past victim came forward, so that's pretty illegal. One of the old teacher's aides got arrested for child porn and filming the elementary kid's bathroom. Drama teacher slept with the hottest chicks in class and nothing ever happened to him. I now feel like I had a really tame school experience. Child pornography filming. 2 underage seniors from my graduating class filmed a full-on porno with some 20-year-old dude. Circulated to like 30 kids in the class and was a huge scandal for the school for a while. One of them was expelled while the other was just given a suspension because she otherwise had a clean record, then was on one of the sports teams. Not sure if they ever found the dude. Not my school, but friends. 2 students threw a chair from a balcony. They've hit an 8-month pregnant teacher. She passed out. The principal refused to let an ambulance evacuate her from school grounds because it had tattered their school's reputation. And so she's had the custodian drag the unconscious, bleeding pregnant teacher out of the school, and only then she called the ambulance. The teacher had a stillbirth consequently to that incident. Edit. Spells. Edit 2. After reading some of your comments, change the word miscarriage to stillbirth. 2 kids had hanky-panky in the toilets a few years ago, and other 2 kids burnt a desk inside the class. Grew up in a small town. When a lamb got sick and was dying, our AG teacher just had us go out to behind the classroom building and shoot it. We ended up pulling a massive tapeworm out of it. Definitely not legal to have guns on campus, let alone use them. A teacher and an administrator embezzled millions. I didn't even know all this happened until years after graduation. Some of my friends had a teacher in question. Freshman female would hang out in a teacher's classroom almost every day after school. People thought he was just a club sponsor and that she was very involved. A few weeks in the semester, they were caught by police in an Airbnb and he was arrested. A teacher harassed like 12 students. The issue is everybody loved that guy. He won Best Teacher Award like 2 days before his arrest. P.S. No, this isn't Persona 5. This actually did happen. I'm not making a clever joke about Kamoshida, although I probably would have. This was a real guy, one Mr. Chu. Had a pretty controversial case involving a handicapped student who had cerebral palsy and muscular dystrophy. His parents filed a lawsuit accusing 2 of his handlers of abusing him by dumping him out of his chair and forcing him to wear a neck brace so he'd look them in the eye. Worst part was, I don't think the handler suffered any consequences. I looked up articles on it, and all of them highlight the abuse and lawsuit, but none follow through with the results, which is frustrating. I had a guy selling heroin. After that, there was a weekly police presence. Also, a kid bound the girl to a chair, gagged her, and stuffed her in a cupboard in the woodworking shop. He claims it was to help her complete the sponsored silence she had been doing that day. Kids were selling candy and snacks to other students, obliterating the monopoly that the vending machines once held. Administration cut that poop out real quick. Playing unblock games. My golf coach got arrested in Kansas for driving with a spare tire full of cocaine. Half my school burned down because some idiot thought it would be a good idea to light a wrestling mat on fire. Pro tip, wrestling mats are very flammable. Weren't able to have sports all year, talent shows and concerts in the auditorium. Benefit was we got 2 weeks off from school while they vented/cleaned up the mess. All I can remember was the kid was a minor, so the parents pretty much owed millions to the school. Update. Just Googled the kid's name and found out he died a year later in a car accident near the school he transferred to because he was expelled, obviously. Over spring break one year, the entire hockey team and the cheerleaders all went to rehab. The goalie was dealing coke to all of them. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.